Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the P-Lot Movie Podcast, where we never talk about sports. We talk about movies, music,
Books,
books, art,
plays,
festivals, the Renaissance Fair.
food. We'll get into some food.
Yeah, we went to Angelo's Pizza. We got the cheesesteak and the plain pizza combo. Well, sorry, just kidding, everybody.
Welcome back to the Not P-Lot Pod, as we are potentially future members of just M-Lot all the time now.
yeah,
That
yeah.
all of it, everything that could have went bad this weekend went bad, but we're only going to talk
Yeah,
about one of it.
so you're 20, Michael. You're 23.
23 now. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
23.
36, and even though we've both seen three Philadelphia championships in our lifetime, which makes us kind of basically very spoiled,
No, definitely. I
I would
am I
say.
am aware of my spoiledness, but that doesn't make bad
What
moments
doesn't
less bad.
excuse what happened? This does not
Yes.
excuse
Like
for
this
this.
is my I oh my god, I just don't want to talk about it. This is my like between the baseball team and the basketball team, it's like they're both doing the 2000s Eagles thing. Like kind of in lockstep these last few years, but the Sixers or the basketball team obviously started sooner. Um But we're not gonna talk about baseball today. We're not gonna talk
No, we're
about
passing
basketball
on.
today. We're not
We're
even gonna talk
passing
about
on
hockey
that.
today.
Yeah, we're gonna. I don't want to talk about it emotionally right now. We're gonna talk about. We're gonna. This is our special like wrap up NFL wrap up show. So let's just get started with. We'll just talk about the Eagles Broncos game first. Obviously, Michael, the Eagles have been playing with fire the last few weeks.
They got
Uh,
burned, John. They
this
got
is the
burned.
this is the time they finally got burned because officiating went against them. They've gotten some calls their way to start the year in some games. Obviously, the Chief game, the tush push not getting penalized at all definitely helped them. You can't deny
I
that.
mean, they didn't run it, so
They did, and then in this Bronco game, yeah, the Bo Nix fumble. You could say it's like a 50-50 call, I suppose. It didn't go their way, obviously. The Broncos got points. I don't know why the Jahan Dotson incomplete pass wasn't ruled a completion.
I will say, I'm watching it back on the replay. I see it clearer now. When it hits his hands, he didn't fully like catch it. He he got it, but he didn't really secure it until it was in his chest, and I saw that now. And that moment from hands to chest is when that initial foot came up. So that one
Mm.
I've redacted from the slander, but all the other ones are just as, if not
They missed
more
like
impactful.
three intentional
It's about
groundings
4.
on
Yeah,
Bo
oh,
Nix.
yeah. 4 really bad missed or, like, given calls for
And I
very
do
little
feel like
explanation.
intentional grounding in the NFL, it's almost like calling a balk in baseball. Like they could call it way more than they don't
Probably,
call it. But
yeah.
it was really egregious on Sunday. And it did feel like it's like especially on that final drive, then the Eagles' final drive. Like it was a very poorly officiated game on both sides. We can't just say the Eagles got hosed on every call. They did. The main call they got hosed on was the missed pass interference. Like
I got it.
that was textbook pass interference. It definitely had an out. They didn't call it because when the Eagles had fourth down off the kick they're on the beginning of that drive, the pass interference they called that was kind of a 50-50. Like they
No,
probably should.
listen, I mean, the refs definitely impacted parts of that game. However, probably for the best, honestly, that they ended up losing. Seems like they
I
needed a
agree
loss.
because if let's say Smitty
I
actually
mean, let's
caught
just
that
say
Hail Mary.
they called the penalty, and then on fourth down or from the 4-yard line, they score, and it's like, okay, and they win. Awesome, really cool. We're all
It would have
excited,
been
you
more
know?
of like Jalen Hurts is the MVP slash like he's having a big year and then we're gonna mask the problems as opposed to like it's time to address the problems which the Eagles have. Eagles did the prior week. Now, Michael, let me ask you this: the Eagles have more problems than just, I would say, Kevin Patullo. Obviously, he is a problem. He's having
He's the biggest. If I
he's
had to
having a
rank
very rough go
the
of it.
problems, I'd say offensive coaching, and that's all of them. That's Petullo, that's Nick, that's perhaps it's
Scott
Scott
Loeffler.
Loeffler. It's
That's
everybody.
maybe
It's
even
even
Jeff
Jeff
Stoutland.
Stoutland. Yeah, it's even Jeff Stoutland to an extent. It's all of them. They're probably the biggest culprit, and I would give the next highest blame percentage to the offensive line, and perhaps not all of that is their fault if they're playing hurt or whatever. And then equal blame I'm giving to the quarterback and I'll say the receivers for there's a problem that's been all of them. Not it's not singling anybody out. Obviously, some plays
And
are
they've
more
acknowledged
magnified
it.
than
It's
others,
not
but
like they've
it's all
acknowledged
it's all
it.
receivers aren't finishing routes. They're not finishing their routes. If they're not the first read, they're kinda jogging after the initial burst off the ball, and there were
Even
multiple
worse, when
times.
Hurts scrambles outside the pocket, no one's running over to the side where he's
The
scrambling
scramble
to.
drill is really bad.
Like you see, like if you watch the Bills play this, because this is what Josh Allen does all the
Kansas
time.
City, dude. It's, Lamar, Baltimore. It's, those 3 all the time. The receivers, the quarterback starts on the move, and the receivers, they perfectly execute the scramble drill. It's like the Eagles don't even practice it because it's either nobody is helping the quarterback out or, like, 3 people are. It was a play in, I think it was in Tampa. It might have been in Denver, though. I'm not remembering properly. That Jalen starts rolling to the sideline, and Devonta Smith starts coming across, and it looks like he wants to kind of throw it to him. But then Dotson also starts running, and now both of them are like this far apart, and both defenders are like covering both players pretty easily. And it's just a mess, and you can't throw it. And it's like, that's gotta be something where Dotson's gotta be like, "Okay, I know it's man coverage. I need to run a different area and open things up a little bit and create a hole." Or it's, you know, Jalen threw it to Dotson deep, and Dotson, when Jalen first broke the pocket, started just going straight vertical, which is fine. That's perfectly fine. Go vertical. So then Jalen turns and lets it rip, but as he's releasing it, Dotson hits like a head fake and breaks left, and now he sees it and he's like, "Oh, I can't get it now." And it's not the first
Well, we
time. It
when
certainly
we
won't be the
talked about
last.
like last week, we were like, how come the Eagles just run go routes and stop routes? Why don't they run more double moves? Well, they ran
They
way
ran a couple, yeah.
more double moves this week to some of success, because you saw how Devontae Smith had a monster game on against
Riley
Riley Moss.
Moss and yeah.
He's cooking Riley Moss he's running like running the whole route tree. Riley Moss couldn't cover him the whole game, Michael. That
Devonta
was
Smith was cooked. The
like
receivers,
that was like
yeah.
obviously the game plan. It's like, okay, Patrick Surtain's going to lock down AJ Brown at times. That's okay. We're going to win this matchup. But then you kind of saw it during the game, like this is kind of where, like, obviously, like, not like we're not trying to be like WIP and cause drama, where it's like, okay, we need to get AJ involved, and it's like they start forcing the ball to AJ, and now like my concern was like, okay, because they were talking about it on post game on Rob Ellis, friend of the show. Rob Ellis was I don't know, maybe he's, I don't know if he's not a friend of the show or not. I just know Rob's a great, really good guy, but he was
Sure.
basically like they basically catered to Smitty and AJ to a certain extent because of their frustrations of not being involved enough. And then what happens is that AJ Brown probably has, when I say he had one of his worst games as an Eagle, I don't mean like he didn't catch any passes for 0 yards, but the false start he had, which negated that, like looked like was going to be a big gain on that sweep to Saquon, and then on the the 4th and 4 when Saquon got popped for the illegal shift. It was an illegal shift because AJ Brown wasn't fully set.
I think it
And
was Dotson. I think that was
Dotson
Dotson, not
wasn't fully
Brown.
set, but he's looking at AJ Brown, and it's sort of like, dude, AJ Brown, you're an elite receiver. You got to make sure that you're lined up on the
I'm
line of
gonna
scrimmage.
I'm gonna put that one on the coaches. Brown, where
That
Brown,
is a
we're
coaching thing as well. The guys have to be prepared to play. I
gonna be
agree
coming
with
out of the
that.
huddle quicker.
But dude,
Listen,
like, did you watch you've seen the Hail Mary where I think AJ thinks Devontae Smith is a defender, not
I mean,
Devontae
I'm not
Smith.
gonna put too much stock into a Hail Mary. They all went up for the ball. There was like for people to act like Brown or Smith had it in both hands, they're acting like AJ like clubbed it out of there for a PBU. Like there was 9 hands that were all touching the ball at once. Yeah, from a couple stop angles, it looks bad, but listen, where Brown had his moments, it was the false start, which is bad. The ensuing plays, the miscommunication, not a miscommunication, but getting his timing thrown off on the double move and then not finishing the route. You can
Yeah, not
blame
finishing routes, and
and
apparently
yeah, it's been a problem with him and all the receivers, but he's probably been the biggest culprit, I guess. Um, and that's frustrating. And I think as
is
much
it
as that is on
bad?
the players,
Do
on
you think
coaching
it's
too.
so? You saw the tweet yesterday. Saquon, Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, the triplets, the Eagles triplets had a meeting that was supposed to be had pot that was positive.
Sure.
Do you,
I'll be honest, that encouraged me.
I
I'll,
feel
I'll
encouraged as well, but I do think like is Jalen like? I mean, I don't know what like we saw the clip resurface of Brandon Graham talking about like Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown not
I mean,
being.
they have problems. They were best friends before here, and they were for like the first 2 years of being here. And as time's gone on, it's waned a little bit. And I think it's nothing really more than just like when it's hard to work with your best friend in a lot of environments,
I
especially
agree.
when
No. I think
you
that's a very good
two,
point.
yeah, really need to rely on each other. And I think it's probably some sort of variation of AJ asking for the ball, and it's not in like a "Hey, you're my buddy, man. Let's get me the ball." It's in his normal competitive way. Jalen probably snaps back of like,
Do
"I got to
you?
do what's best," and AJ's probably like, "Well, I am what's best," and that sort of thing.
Because I don't think
The,
AJ Brown's a bad teammate. You see how he's supportive of like Quinyon
well, I mean, you
Mitchell.
just see how everyone talks about him on the team, and like that's enough for me to know he's not a bad teammate. It's not just like Nick doing his Nick thing, saying, "Oh, he's a great." No, all the players love him. It's just the
Do
fact of the
you?
matter.
Let me. I'm gonna
But all
throw
the
this
players
out.
also love Jalen too. So like it's just I really just think it's an issue between them that it's getting in the work life because they have that miscommunication or misfire, whatever, and then they don't talk about it. How do you not talk about that? It seems like they never talk during games unless it's like an
Yeah, this
audible.
isn't like a. So this is the point I want to bring up, and we know like Diana Rossini and like the Colin Cowards and like we'll say the
Sure,
national media
sure.
want there to be drama on the Eagles because it gets clicks and it gets views. But at some point, if you're like Howie Roseman or I don't know, someone goes up to AJ Brown and be like, if you don't like it in Philly, look at Tyreek Hill wanting to leave Kansas City. Look at Stephon Diggs when he left Buffalo. Look at Devontae Adams when he
I
wanted
hear
to
you.
leave
I
Green
don't
Bay.
think I don't think it's that.
I'm
I
not thinking
really
it's that either, but if this is like you saw like he did this like long social media posts like I value being the driving force on a team, winning a championship versus like being with other people. Like what was that like? Can
what
you
after the Super Bowl?
yeah? Could you
Well, that
elaborate
was
more on
like
that?
his like he gets his drive and his fix from dominating his opponent. And more often than not, dominating your opponent results in wins. He was like everyone else in the NFL, their big dream, their big goal, it's like to win the Super Bowl. That's what matters most. That's what matters most. And he was like, it was awesome. I loved it. I'll forever remember it. But like that true sense of fulfillment, he said, only lasted a few days. Like, he was unfulfilled with the Super Bowl. And you know what? I'm all right with that because I don't take it as, oh, he's like not, as long as he gets his, it doesn't matter how the season ends for the team. I take that as he can win as many Super Bowls as he wants to win. It's not going to make him want to just sit back. It's not like, you know, he's some end of his years veteran. It's like, I got my Super Bowl. I'm chilling. I don't need to play anymore. I don't need to try super hard. No, instead for him, it's I won. That was great. That was cool. I'm ready for week one. I'm ready to go kill another corner on me. Like that's what that is. And I think, listen, we're making a lot out of this. I think it's having Saquon talk to them and be like, "Listen, you guys." If I had to guess what went on in there, was like, "You guys can't be button heads this much because it's getting in front of the main thing." And we always talk about keeping the main thing the main thing. AJ, you're not going to be happy if you're not talking to the quarterback because you're not going to be able to build a good connection and you're not going to get your touches. And then it's like Jalen, you not wanting to talk to him either or whatever. That's getting in the way of us winning, and that's getting in the way of us being at our best on offense. All that sort of stuff. I'm sure that was all hashed out. I'm sure they all came to a common understanding. Them all saying it was positives, encouraging. I I think that's a good thing. I think the problems on this team are deeper than, like, the tiff between the receiver and the quarterback, like, significantly deeper than that.
Mhm.
It's their scheming, you know? John, we say it all the time. We say it every week. We say it at the stadium. We say it in the parking lot. We say it everywhere. If teams are dumb enough to run man coverage against the Eagles are going to have no issues throwing on them and will feast on them at all times. If teams had half a brain, they would play every snap of defense, rushing four guys and zone coverage. And they would struggle throwing the ball. It's simply the fact. The Broncos I saw was like they ran 10 man coverage snaps in the first half to 12 zone coverage snaps. And in the second half, they adjusted. They ran 18 zone coverage snaps to just like six man coverage snaps. And against man, Jalen threw for like a buck 40, both of his touchdowns, no sacks. And then against zone coverage, he threw for two intercept or not interceptions, but he took six sacks and he had a lot more incompletions. Obviously, no touchdowns. The book's out on how to beat the Eagles, or at least how to stop the passing game.
We've heard this like since 2023 though. So
It's true. Teams just keep running man, and you know how you force teams to run more man against you? You're able to effectively run the football. The Eagles were so good at running the ball last year that they still saw a ridiculously high clip of two high man, or sorry, of single high man coverage because they were able to run the ball and you had to load up the box. What sucks this year? The run game. It's horrible. They ran the ball one time in the second half. Like, if that's what you're going to do, teams don't need to load the box against you and they can just sit back and
yeah,
play
I would
zone.
say the Bronco game felt mostly like the Kevin Patullo is trying to audition for an NFL head coaching job. Like, look at all these pass plays I'm dialing up because, like, none of these guys are becoming head coaches, Michael, or OCs or calling plays. You know, they're not getting the premium jobs if they're not cooking up good passing schemes. Like Clint Kubiak is going to be an NFL head coach next year because Sam Darnold's going to probably be a Pro Bowler this year.
I mean,
It's
I
the
hear you.
truth. It's the
I don't
truth.
think. Listen, I don't think this was the Patullo audition as much as it was like we're struggling running the ball. There's a lot of chatter about our receivers, so we're gonna throw it a ton. And it worked because you know why? The Broncos run the most man coverage or single high man in the NFL. That's their thing because they have such talented D backs. It works for them more often than not. But it just so happens that the Eagles kill that. So when the Eagles were killing that early, they were like Vance Joseph decided, okay, let's stop doing that. And then the Eagles couldn't get shit off. They couldn't move the ball. They didn't score a point after the long play to Saquon that Jalen drew up
You,
himself against
you know,
man
I had it.
coverage.
So I actually had this is an observation I made. This is what I kind of said before the game, and I know it's not. I'm not saying this as an excuse, but like taking Like, let's just step back and be objective. Let's not be Eagles fans. Let's just be NFL observers, because this is kind of what we're doing this show today. Because we're going to talk about, after this, we're going to go through the rest of the games. The Eagles played an absolute bloodbath game against Tampa Bay the prior week in like 106-degree weather, where guys were like exiting the game, leaving, going in and out of the game with bad cramps in a game they know they needed to win because it would have potential seeding implications, right? The Eagles were dead exhausted after that game, right? They got to come back and play against a team that whose coach, Michael, and we'll wrap up. We're gonna wrap up this Eagle Bronco talk by talking about how much of a loser Sean Payton is, who like basically made it his mission to win this game. Like he is hell bent on winning a non-conference game against the Eagles. He's got to play the Chiefs twice. He's got to play the Chargers again. No, it's the Eagles. Oh, that's the game we need to focus on is the Eagles. And, I thought to myself, kind of like when I was preparing for this show, I said, I made fun of Mike McCarthy for years because he only won one Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. Sean Payton is basically Mike McCarthy if he was on Ozempic. They're the same person. They are
Yeah,
the same person, bro. How does Drew Brees only have one Super Bowl?
I
And
hear
by the
you.
way, the Super Bowl that they won, if Hank Baskett could field an onside kick correctly, and if Brett Favre didn't have a meltdown, make one of
I
the
mean, it's
worst
Bounty Gate,
decisions.
John. We don't got to
He's got
sugarcoat it.
nothing. He's a
It's,
loser. Did you
right.
see that? Did you see that this is what Benjamin Albright reported after Sean Payton wanted to order the bus driver to go up and down Broad Street. The bus driver refused to do it because he's like, that's corny. Like, that's stupid. Like, why
Yeah,
not? Like,
no, I mean, he wanted this one a lot, and he got it. Eagles gifted it to him on a silver platter. That's for
and
sure.
listen, the Broncos play well. Like, I was kind of telling you, you were like in the seat, you were like, Bo Nix sucks. Bo Nix blows. I'd rank them like so on the list. I was like, the Broncos need to win this game because they blew the Charger game and they blew the Colt game.
Listen. Defensively, they were great until like some things didn't go their way. But like Quinion Mitchell struggled, and that was kind of the killer. They had a big third and long, and he like slipped at the top of the break,
We
and
also were running
Knicks
like
made a nice throw, but it was just like Knicks made like three nice throws, I'd say.
when Bo Nix doesn't need to think or process, like it's literally ball touches his hands, get cocks back to throw, and then just has to make the throw like preordained, like no thinking. He's okay. But what the Eagles defense had early in the game was making him think and try to read and process. He couldn't really do it very well. But kind of getting back to the Tampa thing, the Eagles at the end that second half legit looked like they were gassed. They looked exhausted on defense, especially. They couldn't get off the
I
field.
mean, I don't think they looked tired on offense. I just think they looked feeble. I
They,
think defensively, maybe they looked a little tired, but even then, they were still getting. It was just Quinion, really. Like you think about that last drive um that ended up icing the game, like the last two drives, the one that put them ahead, and then the one that like they were almost iced the game with. Um, Quinion was just kind of getting beat with some back shoulder stuff. He got his arm up, but Sutton made a nice catch. He got beat on the third and long. Ringo gets beat on a couple
the
quick
Ingram
outs.
touchdown to me was inexcusable. He broke like 4 or 5 tackles.
Yeah, I was almost at a point where it's like whatever. There's like 7 minutes left, and then obviously the Eagles kind of got hosed a little bit. It's just tough, man. It was just a tough one that I'm not really gonna spend too much time blaming defense. I don't think the offense looked tired much. I just think they played poorly. I thought it was you got very one dimensional, and your dimension against zone coverage is bad. And even with that's how annoying all this is because they are that good. that even though the play calling was so bad, and even though Jalen had a bad second half, and even though the receivers also had a bad second half, and he was taken and there were big sacks, with all of that, they are just, like, lining up correctly away from probably winning the game, you know? They are just not getting an illegal man downfield away from probably winning the game. They're one penalty going their way from probably winning the game. Like, it's one of those things where they're so good, they're so talented that they really have to play like garbage, and there maybe has to be, like, 2 things that don't go their way that's out of their control, and then they're probably gonna lose. And, like, that means you have a really damn good team. It just does. Like, they did complete big passes to move the ball when the game mattered most. They just got called back because of penalties, you know?
It
Like,
does,
it's so
it does.
frustrating.
It almost feels like we
It
need to
makes
get
it
to.
so frustrating.
It does feel like we need to get to week 9 to get hit that by
Yeah.
kind of get like
Yep.
a soft, maybe like a little bit of a soft reset, and then come back out and then like get ready.
Because it's true, John. Like, I don't expect things to look amazing on offense for the next 4 weeks. You know, you just played a really good defense in Denver. You play a pretty good defense on Thursday twice. You play them twice. And then you play the Vikings, who also have a pretty good defense as well, very good defense. So I'm not like expecting the offense to shred these next few weeks. Maybe against the Giants a little bit because the Giants run like 40 almost 40% of the time they run some cover one man stuff, and obviously we know how well the Eagles do against that. But if they adjust and play zone against the Eagles, I don't expect the offense to be a ton better. I really don't. I do expect to see a lot of Saquon on Thursday, even though his knee's a little banged up, or at least a lot of running the ball because of it's what they do. They go a few weeks struggling throwing. They want to overpass. Now they barely ran the ball. They're going to overrun and overcorrect. So I don't expect things to look amazing these next few weeks. What I do expect is that after the bye week, or at least I hope that after the bye week, offensively, we see a lot of these issues kind of cleaned up, or at least mitigated to some like magnitude of sense. Like, at least it's not totally horrible, you know? Um, and if not, like, if it looks the same after the bye week like this, I'm gonna be on, like, alert for the rest of the season, just kinda waiting for it to all
Is this
blow
going
up.
to be like the new pattern where like the internal OC hire just blows and the Eagles either
Yeah, I don't think they'll ever hire a good internal offensive coordinator as long as, Nick's the head coach, unfortunately. And,
or
like,
unless
he deserves to be here for a while. I do
the
think that.
Eagles go out and like hire some future genius.
Sure, I just don't think they're gonna do that, like, they don't seem inclined on doing that. It's, like, kinda, like,
Yeah, yeah.
probably their
So like,
weakness,
so do you
and
think
and
that
and it's gonna suck, man, because their defense is good enough to carry them for times weeks at a time. It's definitely good enough defensively to win a Super Bowl. They could use some more firepower on the edge, but I think that gets better as some guys get healthier. So, with all that, it's not gonna be 2023 level of brutal because they had the worst ranked defense in the league. Instead, it's gonna be not as bad, but probably more frustrating because it's not as bad, because their defense is so good that it makes it so much more frustrating that offensively they struggle so much.
who's the
We'll
Colts
see.
offensive coordinator? He's not calling plays. Colts. Who's the Colts offensive coordinator?
They're so annoying.
Oh, it's Jim
Every
Bob. It's Jim Bob Cooter. Like, come on, bro.
ah, they would hire Jim Bob Cooter as like the look at this
The,
back in the
the
Steichen tree.
Fugazi offensive coordinator because Shane calls all the plays.
I am shocked Jim Bob Cooter still has a job.
Whatever. No.
Anyways,
Well, no. So I was, I'm just gonna say this. It's gonna be like chef's kiss when you see Mike McDaniel's be like, Smitty, I've watched 12 hours of you play dating back to your college days. Here's all the
you're the
95 different.
greatest receiver I've ever seen in my life.
Yes, here's the 95,000 route like combinations we're gonna come up with you and AJ, and they're gonna be like, you know,
You know
Jalen.
how like you remember when not to like bring up this team, but Remember when like they first fired Girardi and like all the players had something great to say about Rob Thompson, like, oh, just feels nice to not play with pressure, all that sort of stuff. And the Flyers this offseason, Sean Couturier is like, I've talked more to Rick Tocchet than I did with Torts in 3 years, and he says on the power play, it just feels like no one's scared to make a play. No one's afraid to make a mistake. And that uh, Cam Yorker, making comments about not having to skate the rope or whatever. Like all that to be said is that if Mike McDaniel gets brought in here as the OC and that interaction that you just said happens, you're going to get comments like, "I'm just real excited to get out there and run offense again. I haven't felt this excited to run offense in a few years. So I haven't." I probably haven't felt this excitement since Shane, like that sort of thing. We're gonna be like, dude, we're back. But until I'll believe it when I see it with them, unfortunately.
Right. Let's do these. Let's go through these games.
Look at
So
the
we
game. Where do
obviously
you want to start? Where do you want to start?
let's talk about. Well, let's just talk
You
about
want
the
to start
one.
at Sunday night? Okay.
Let's just start from the. We'll just kind of go in like I guess chronological order. We'll just talk about each game briefly, like for a few minutes. Vikings Browns. Some of my takeaways is I made a lot of mental notes. Quinshon Judkins is Michael is really good.
He's quite good. Yeah, there's nothing else to say.
Obviously, the
He's
Stefanski offense is very pro run, very beneficial for running
he's a
backs.
very good coach. He would be perfect for Baltimore. I'm
Well,
so serious. I'm hearing Browns fans like
what the
say,
Browns fans don't want to hear that.
no, 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 no. I'm hearing Browns fans that are like, there's factions of Browns fans that want Stefanski fired, right? And you have like the
Because of
smarter
Baker.
Browns fans. I would, no, it's more so just like they don't think he's that good, I guess. Um, and I think there's there's like the smarter side of the Browns fans that are like, dude, you fire Stefanski, he's winning the Ravens a Super Bowl, and there's no other way around it. And it's like, I think that's real. I think that's true, man. It's really something. But yeah, Dylan Gabriel wasn't asked to do too much, and I don't think he played all that poorly. I thought he played mostly well. Um, but unfortunately, it feels like the Browns receivers are really, really bad. Obviously, they got some solid tight ends, but where it looked like Jerry Jeudy was gonna kind of ascend into what he was supposed to be out of college after last year, he just really has failed to take that jump or anything. Like I'm not sure if they have a top 30 receiver on their team in the league, and that's just not a good spot you want to be in. Um, it's a shame because
Feels like a
yeah,
perfect spot where they're probably going to draft a wide receiver
I'll
first
say
round.
it. Obviously, the quarterbacks situation out there is very, very up in the air. Like I don't think Dylan Gabriel is the answer by any stretch, but maybe Shador is. Maybe he's not. Watson definitely isn't, but he's like still around. They just traded Flacco, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see if the
Sorry, I'm
Browns
trying.
feel like they're a good offseason away from like being a kind of a almost, I don't want to say perennial, but like almost perennial playoff contender. Like they're one good offseason of getting a good receiver and kind of throwing out that offensive line where their defense, I think, is already pretty damn good as we've seen. And Judkins is really good, and the tight end room is encouraging. The defense is already really good. Like it's not to say like, oh, they're not that far away, but it's like they're really not that far from being able to kind of compete for those 6 or 7 seeds in the AFC that are occupied by teams like Denver or Jacksonville or a random like the Dolphins every year or the Bengals who stink. Like there's all the Steelers as the other one. It's just like there's so many. The AFC is so top heavy, led by their quarterbacks, like the top AFC quarterbacks, that the Browns definitely, with another really good offseason, could be a playoff team sooner than I think we all are expecting.
Okay, go well. Like on the flip side, let's talk about like Minnesota real quick. You know, Michael, we talk about the chaos defense of the Vikings, and it's good. I
Hmm.
They just struggle to stop the run, and I think a big reason
Yeah.
for that is when you look at their D line, especially Jonathan Allen, Javon Hargrave. They brought in a bunch of guys that are great at rushing the passer, but they're notorious for being porous against the run. And like they have former Eagle linebacker Eric Wilson, who's a very good special teams player, Michael. He
Hmm.
is not someone who should be playing every down on defense.
No, the
He
Vikings, their issues, it's that their D tackles are good, but they're not good at stopping the run. Like Javon Hargrave, we've known great pass rushing D tackle when he was here, was not some like insanely good run stuffer. And that's kind of both of their, their rotation of D tackles are mostly good in pass rush. That's why they're able to rush the passer fairly well with obviously their really good edges as well. Um, but if you're able to effectively run the ball against the Vikings, you can definitely neutralize some of that defense. That's obviously the key. Something to look to in a couple weeks, but we'll cross that bridge.
and
Obviously,
honestly, and I like I feel like I overrate Kevin O'Connell at times because I'm like, oh, yeah, I think he's a top five coach, and then I see them lose. They I don't know, Michael. Like Carson looked better last week, like this game, obviously
I
compared to
guess
the week before. I
he
get
did.
that's
He no, he
exactly right.
did.
I
He did.
guess
He didn't look great, but
he
he
threw the
looked
he
fine.
threw how many game winning. I want to see how many game winning drives he has in his career because I know he's got a bunch. So Wentz
Does he have a bunch?
game
Does he have like a handful?
game winning
What
drives
is a bunch?
career like six,
Because
7.
Romo always had a ton.
Fourth quarter comebacks. This is Pro Football Reference now. He has 13 fourth quarter comebacks, 14 game winning drives. 14.
Oh, Carson, how about that?
Uh,
Um,
right,
nice,
yes.
man. Sure. All right.
So,
That's nice. So, yeah, I
so it's
mean,
like, you saw, dude, I don't know. Everyone asks what happened to Carson. I've talked to a good friend of mine. He's like, I think it's mental. I don't, I've talked to other people. They think it's physical. I think it's probably a little bit of both.
it's both. It's his physicalness, like his physical gifts, um, were never super strong in like perfect accuracy, like all the time. That was not where his physical gifts came. His physical gifts came with, the modern great quarterback, amazing escapability, great playmaking ability, strong arm, accuracy at times can really be cooking, but you know, those other things are enough that really can carry and be an engine. Now, when you tear your ACL and then subsequently hurt your
Break your
back,
back,
you're,
get concussed.
that those physical traits tend to wear off. And mentally, this is where the mental part comes in. He didn't change the way he played quarterback or wanted to play quarterback. I'm not saying, oh, he'd rather go hunt like a guy can't have hobbies, but you just watch different quarterbacks, the way they operate, and like you watch Jalen, and it seems like he spends every waking minute of his off season trying to get better. And it's like Wentz does, normal professional athlete thing. But when you lose that physicalness, he never took the time to relearn how to play quarterback a different way. Amazing third down efficiency in 2017. And a lot of that had to do with his legs and his ability to escape and make good throws. Lost some of that ability to escape, and the
Well, he goes
decisions
from
stayed not so
playing under
great,
Sean McVay to Andy Reid to Kevin O'Connell.
and you're not
So,
seeing any changes, like
and neither one of the
because all those
previous
guys are
two wanted to
content.
keep
Go
him
ahead.
more than a year.
Right, and all those guys were content on just having him as a 1 or 2 year backup
Like it's
quarterback.
bad when Daniel Jones entering this offseason was way more desirable than Carson. That's
Yes,
bad.
yes, because Daniel Jones has had zero of the physical abilities that Wentz ever had, but just had the mindset to be a smarter quarterback. Played a style of football that can be like run in a bunch of different
Yeah,
offenses. And
if
Carson,
the Vikings never drafted J.J. McCarthy, Daniel Jones is the starting quarterback for the Vikings right
probably
now. And the Vikings might be 4-1
they'd
or
probably be better.
undefeated. Yeah,
Yeah. So
better than what they are now. So
yeah.
yeah, we'll
So
see. All
yeah.
right,
All right. Enough
all
of it.
right,
We spent a lot
all
of
right.
time
Let's
on that. It
move
was
on.
funny.
Texans Ravens. C.J.
Don't want to
Stroud.
talk much about this.
C.J.
Shout out
Stroud,
Stroud.
Michael.
Shout out CJ
Nice,
Stroud for putting a
nice
good game
bounce back
together.
game for C.J. Stroud.
Right.
For it's interesting how he looks when he is not under duress every single snap. That should be a very strong indication to Texans, their front office. Like, good lord, we need to get O
hmm
linemen because look
hmm
how good he is when he is not being slaughtered every single snap.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and then likewise, I asked people at work. I said, hey, I know the Ravens are really banged up, but let's say they only win 6 or 7 games. Does John Harbaugh deserve to be
Yes.
fired? A lot of people say no, it's not fair. And I said, Andy Reid got fired after an injury riddled season. Doug Peterson got fired after an
You
injury
need to
riddled season.
find
Why the hell
this
does
is
John Harbaugh get a pass?
this is no, this is the best time to do it. When you're up in the air about firing your coach, them getting hurt, like the team getting hurt and subsequently rolling over and dying is the perfect year to fire a coach because you know why?
Look at Kyle
When we go
Shanahan.
down in history and 10 years from now and you look back on, man, why did John Harbaugh get fired? And you're like, oh well, his last year in Baltimore, they went 6-11. They were just it just they were banged up.
In
It was
years
a
they were like
bad
favored
team
to
and
win the Super Bowl.
right. Like it's Andy Reid, all of a sudden they went 4-12 and that was kind of out of nowhere. Like they were about a 500 team and then all of a sudden and Doug, same thing. They were a 500 team for 2 years and then all of a sudden they won 4 games and it was the perfect time to be like, you know what? Let's just cut it off. It's a hell of a lot harder to fire a coach a year after you win 13 games and just disappoint in the playoffs again. It's a lot
Right.
harder to be like, here's our perennial 12-win head coach and we have the most winningest time in team history, and we've just lost another playoff game. Time to fire him. That's why the Bills, it's going to be so hard for them to fire Sean McDermott. Like they would have to
Mm.
lose an embarrassing playoff game, like if they're the 1 seed against like a 6 seed or something
Yeah,
at home to lose
the
that.
last time, Michael, a coach, I think, actually, the last time I seen a coach win 12 plus games and have an embarrassing playoff loss, I think was Marty Schottenheimer with the Chargers, where they went 14-2, were the top seed in all of
Yeah,
football, and
yeah.
they lose a division round game against New England, where
I mean, this would be the perfect
they,
example
they
of
pick
that.
off they pick off Tom Brady, but the safety fumbled the interception.
Yeah,
Like it,
I remember. That was like that's the perfect example of if the Chiefs don't win that division and are the 6th seed and, they win their wild card and play the 1-seeded Bills off a bye and beat them, that might be the last straw, but regardless,
yeah, I agree.
unless something like that happens, um, Sean McDermott's not getting fired until they have a bad regular season. It's just so hard to rationalize that. The only sport you really ever see that sort of stuff happen are it's like hockey or
NBA.
um, you're the NBA, where it's like your coach, you know, you're just so good with such talent, but you can't get over the hump. Maybe we just need to do change. Regardless, we saw with the Celtics, we saw with the Bruins, um, or the Penguins. I mean, um, they yeah, yeah. So the Ravens, this probably, if things keep going down this path, it's probably last year for Harbaugh. It's probably for the best. Um, it'll be interesting to see what sort of direction they head into next. If they try to get
It's
some
gonna be an
offensive guru
awkward
with
har- it's gonna
Lamar,
it's gonna be an
I don't
awkward
know
hardball Christmas for
if he
John and
gets canned.
Jim.
Oh, for
If
sure.
he gets or Haas if he's canned and he's like, hey Jim, can I join your staff as a assistant? He's like, nah, bro, I'm
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Or
But shout out the Texans.
my players would hate my guts if I brought you over because you're an a
Yeah.
hole.
Shout
All
out the
right,
Texans though. They
Dolphins
took it.
Panthers. Mike
Great
McDaniel
game
for
it
the
turned out to
Eagles.
be. It was back and forth. Bryce Young played like garbage for most of the game, and then the
Yeah,
last two
you know what I call
drives was
this game?
making
You know what I
big
call this
throws.
game, Michael? The starter jacket bowl. Because when I was a kid, everybody had like Carolina Panthers and like Miami
Yeah,
Dolphins
they're
starter
cool colors.
jackets.
Yeah, no, that's
They were
your
cool.
yeah. Bryce
What
Young struggled, but then he made some massive throws under pressure too, and
do
eventually
you
led
think
them
Bryce
down.
Young is just bad? Like bad
Yeah,
because he hasn't gotten the proper coaching, or is he just
no,
Dave
I think
Canales is overrated?
he would have needed
Because
the
Liam
like
Cohen was clearly the better Buccaneers OC. Like it's
yeah,
a
he would have
statistical fact.
needed the perfect situation to get drafted to.
Like he is the heir apparent to me. He is going to go to the Rams and then maybe back up Stafford at some point at the last year of his career, and then you're going to see McVay is going to like fix him,
Maybe,
like
maybe
Mac
we'll see.
Jones.
He's got ability, he's got some talent, but he's just so physically limited that it's hard, man. It's hard when you're that small. It's hard when you can't rip it down the field. It's just
No, I've seen him rip it downfield. I think his
not
problem.
consistently.
I think it's coaching. Like when Baker went to Canales, like he already played like 5 years in the NFL and like basically hit rock bottom. So I think he was in more of a position to like learn and grow on his own. Where I think Bryce Young wasted his entire rookie season. Last year he kind of turned a corner. And look, we still got plenty of games left. I mean, if you're a Panther fan, you should be more concerned about Bryce Young playing well, maybe over winning games. And if you
Yeah,
win
but he
games,
just hasn't
great.
played well. That's the
That's
problem.
it.
Like it's
That's the
not like
thing.
Bryce Young is like if he picked up where he left off last year, yeah, but like he hasn't. He reverted back to almost square one against some not great defenses.
I mean, I feel like the next year is the make or break year for. I mean, 7 tutties. I mean,
Yeah,
dude,
because the Panthers'
bro, he's
weapons
got a
still
quarterback
suck.
rating this year of 79.5. That's bad.
Listen, we'll see. When Coker is supposed to be back this year, a lot of Panthers fans are high on him and that connection. So we'll see. Um, but
All
on the
right,
other side, Miami, they're just broken. Like that's as typical as it gets. Don't want to spend too much time on this next game. The
wow.
Raiders. It looks like Gino
I don't think
like is
Gino's cooked. I think this is my take on the Raiders. I'm going to share you my quick take on the Raiders. You remember when Michael Jordan was an executive with like the Charlotte, like like the Charlotte
sure,
Hornets,
sure.
and how bad he was? I think that's going to be Tom Brady with the Raiders because they're just both competitive psychos, Jordan and Brady. That I don't like. Why is Chip Kelly the offensive coordinator? Like we saw how Chip Kelly flamed out of the NFL calling plays in a spectacular fashion. Why is he in the NFL?
Yeah, and it doesn't help their offensive line is really bad. And Gino does look a little we'll see.
Old.
But the Colts, shout out to Shane Steichen, man. He's got the best record in the AFC.
That's right. He does have the best record
And
in the
Jonathan
AFC.
Taylor looks like he's offensive
Offensive
player of the
player
year
of the year.
candidate, maybe runner up. But yeah, shout out. Next game, Giants and Saints. This was an ugly one. It's first New Orleans Saints win by a quarterback that they drafted
Since
since 1998.
I want to see who that quarterback was.
I just saw it. Don't know who it is.
Give me his
Um,
name.
I don't remember. Like I saw it, but I don't remember. It was someone I've never heard of. But obviously, Drew Brees drafted by the Chargers, and he shouldered a lot of that weight. But I mean, the fact that they couldn't draft a backup over or like they've had 5 years now, John, to draft a quarterback and like win a game, and I mean, Spencer Rattler hadn't won an NFL game in his life until Sunday, so I guess good for him. Giants turnover bug bit him bad. Jackson Dart had some
Oh,
bad ones.
I know who the quarterback is.
Or
The
the
quarterback that they drafted that they last won a game with, Michael. His name is Danny Werfel.
yes,
Danny Werfel is notable because he won the Heisman Trophy with Florida under Steve
wow,
Spurrier, I
Heisman
believe.
Trophy winner, huh?
He won a
Um,
Heisman, I believe. Let me double
Good
check
for
that.
him. Oh,
So
listen,
yeah,
the
that's how
Spurrier
long ago
teams.
this is. Yeah, you want to know how old how long ago that is to put this into perspective. Uh, Danny Werfel right now, I think. What does he do now? Yeah, he's in the College Football Hall of Fame. Yeah, so in other words, like dead ass. That's just
Yeah,
a wild
yeah,
stat.
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. So like,
So
yeah,
yeah,
I have
so
a better stat that makes the Giants look more incompetent about that too. The Saints have
okay,
only won 2 of their last 13 games.
and they're both against the Giants. How about that?
Yeah, yeah, so real quick, because we're gonna obviously do Eagles Giants, but bro, I know you're like a Dable defender.
Yeah, to an extent.
How do you
It's
lose this game?
waned. They had some bad turnovers. I mean, I think
Like
the
their GM
turnovers is what
sucks. Like, dude, their
John, I mean,
GM should not be employed.
Cam Scattaboo fumbled the ball as they were going inside the red zone, and it was returned for an 86-yard touchdown. I mean, that's a huge swing. That's how they
Crayola
lost.
Devourer, Cam Scattaboo.
Like the Saints and Giants rosters are pretty much equally as garbage. The quarterbacks are probably like the same,
Yeah,
I
like
guess.
the
I'll
Panthers,
give Dart the rookie optimism plus. Is that even a plus? Who knows? Their best player on offense now is Cam Scattaboo, who fumbled. So like when that happens, that kind of blows.
yeah, like
Um,
Panthers Dolphins is equal. They're equally inept, but there's like at least players to watch. They're like, oh, I want to see
yeah,
Tank.
no, there's legitimate
I want to
stench
see
in the
Waddle. I
Saints
want to see Achan. Like,
with
who
no
the hell do
neighbors.
these teams have you want to watch? Players you want to
With
watch?
no neighbors, it's so cooked. So
Right.
yeah, which now brings to because that game is yeah, that game is very much something. Brings us to Jets Cowboys. Yeesh. The fact that the Jet and listen, I still find it hard to believe. Like, do you think Aaron Glenn's a bad coach? Maybe he is. Maybe he was
I feel like
masked
that
by the
Jet team talent
Lions.
wise isn't as bad as like the other
0 and
teams
5.
that
It's
have
not as bad
wins.
as 0 and 5, but granted, they were really close to what, 2 wins this year that they really should have had probably. At least the Steeler game. And like who knows, you start 1-0, maybe things go a little
I
bit
mean,
better your
Rod
way.
Marinelli, his second year with the Lions went winless. Like he went 0 and 16. Great defensive coach. Here's
Hmm.
the thing with Aaron Glenn though, that you know, because they got to play the Broncos in London, and to me, ebb and flow of this league, the Jets should get their first win Sunday with the Broncos acting like they won the Super Bowl against the Eagles. Now they got
Yeah,
to fly
no,
to
John, I
London.
see it. John, you make a good point. You make a good point.
But they could be so bad. Like there's just teams that are just bad. Like there's bad teams that they'll get their 4 or 5 wins somehow.
Yeah. No, they always do.
I mean,
And
and look, I
and
just
this
want
is
to point out
probably a
to
good
you,
start.
everyone, Jets fans complain when they can never get the first overall pick in the draft. Well, Michael, they could potentially get the first overall pick in a draft where all the college quarterbacks are bad. Like Nussmeyer is bad. Lenore Sellers has got injured. Arch Manning
Probably going back to college.
needs to stay in college because he's
Drew
hurt.
Aller. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Drew Aller is
Probably the Jets quarterback.
yeah
No, yeah.
Drew Aller basically showed yeah, like exactly. Like what's Drew Aller? Like Drew Aller's gonna go to the combine and be like, yeah, James Franklin, man. If I played for Ohio State, like I would have put up numbers. I would have been really good.
Sure.
Like
And
no,
you
dude,
so
like you stink. Like come
yeah,
on.
so the Jets are in a tough spot. Cowboys, though, as much as I don't like Dak, I've vocalized that for 5 years now.
This
He's
is that.
good, man.
That's a
He's
Dak. Well, dude,
good.
this is what Dak does. Dak will smoke these bad teams and put up big numbers on like bad teams.
And
Or
listen, as much as that is, he's still making good throws. It's not just like total garbage time stuff.
yeah,
And
man.
it's
I mean,
it's
listen,
hole
dude. Well,
shots, it's downfield, it's
yeah.
good
Well,
stuff.
not. I'm gonna. The Sixers are
Listen,
about
he
to
did it
catch.
against the Packers. I gotta give him
Listen, bro.
credit.
Look, the Sixers are about to catch a stray, but the Sixers are the Dallas Cowboys of the NBA. When we say that, what do we mean by that? Yeah, we're gonna smoke these awful teams, put up really nice stats, but when like the games start to matter, you don't really see that happen, right? Dak's gonna put
Sure.
up big numbers on the Jets, and then they go to the playoffs and then play like Detroit, for example, and then he's gonna poop
And
down
turn
his
right into
leg.
a pumpkin. No, I hear you. I hear
Exactly. So, like, I
you.
mean, does this move me? Like, no, not really.
No,
He's having a great
wasn't.
he's having a
Listen,
great.
I wasn't saying it should move you, but I was shout out Dak. He's played probably, and this isn't just this week. Like he's played good all year at this point. So we'll see if he can
Oh, I
keep it
want
up.
to talk
Maybe he
about this
can.
game, Michael. Oh man, I want to talk about this game.
Yeah, Titans Cardinals. Just about as much of a disaster as you
Did
can
I say? Did
imagine.
I say on the show that if there's a game the Titans are going to win because the Cardinals are going to cardinal it up?
Maybe, yeah, because I mean, they it was shocking the events that transpired. Like
Yeah, I'd be lying if I
obviously,
said I wasn't shocked, bro.
Amari DiMercato, you're the fourth running back on the roster, and because of all these injuries, you're getting your chance, and you break a
Jeez,
big
okay,
run.
Jonathan Gannon.
It's true. Listen, it's your clutch. It's your winning moment. It's your end the game, and you fumble it through the end zone, and then one of the most bizarre plays I've ever seen was the ball, Bryce Young, Cam Ward ripping something that looks like it's actually going to be a nice throw. It gets tipped, then it gets picked, and the tipped interception player just falls over, and in the act of falling over, punches it out and fumbles it, and then it looks like one of the Cardinals players is even trying to bat it into the end. It was unbelievable what I
It
was
looked like
seeing.
it was like you're like if you're like showing somebody like the NFL is rigged, like you show them
Yes,
that.
yes, yes, and it gets recovered by the Titans for a touchdown, and that really changed a huge course of the game. And I thought Cam Ward played his probably his most complete game of the year. Shout out Cam Ward, very happy for him to get his first win. He definitely deserves it because he's been getting hosed by some of his receivers early in the game, early in the season. Yeah, yeah, what a game there. Big story from that. Jonathan Gannon just got fined 100 grand for essentially punching DeMercado in the chest as he was like being consoled on the sideline. Listen, you want to be the fiery guy, you can yell at him all you want. Probably shouldn't hit him. If you don't
Uh
hit him, it's fine.
Honestly though, here's the thing though, Michael, and we talk about like leadership in football or like we talked about Gannon. He had that like creepy like we watched the video afterwards
You have a fire
about
in your gut.
yeah, like that like he was really weird.
Do you have a
Like
fire in your gut, John?
um um sure, sure thing. No, like it does feel like man, this is karma for what he did to the Eagles, bro. This is karma. Like karma has a way of paying people back, Michael. It's paying
Hmm.
back Bill. It's paying back Bill Belichick because he's about to get all of his money taken by a 24-year-old. You know,
Hmm.
and he's
Hmm.
embarrassing himself in North Carolina for the cheating he did when he was with the Patriots head coach.
Right.
Allegedly.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
allegedly. No, but like, yeah, man, like he's like young, like DMAR. Like if there was any like when you're the leader, you go to him, you're like, dude, you're like Amari. It's like you just be like, listen, Amari, I know you did that. That was not a smart decision. I said you owe me a play. You owe us a touchdown. Go out there, finish this game, get us another touchdown. We see it happen all the time. Guys make mistakes. That was like, trust me, like we've seen guys do that. It wasn't like it was the first time something like that's ever happened, right? It's
Hmm.
bad,
Hmm.
but you're like, hey, man, go back out there and make another play. That's what you got to do. And
Yeah.
then
I
he
mean,
didn't do it. He decided to
yeah.
treat him
It's
like an 8-year old.
yeah. Um, for sure. That was definitely like a dated way of how those sort of things get handled, at least publicly. Um, but I don't know. I think people were happy to see it at first, and then they saw him get hit, and it was like, "Eek."
Well, you don't do it in
Listen,
front in public. Like you don't hit him at
yeah,
all.
no, you
You don't chastise him on the sideline. You pull him after the side of the game. Maybe go to the office and be like, dude, I never want to see that again. If you do it
no,
again,
because it can't. It
do it
cannot
again, you're
happen.
cut.
Yeah, it can't happen. I mean, the Cardinals, they've lost some brutal games the last 3 weeks. With the 49ers, the Seahawks, and now this. Some really, really brutal ones, and
I
it just
want to be
makes
I
you.
want to be positive here though a little. I mean, we got to be more positive because of the last 72 hours. 72 hours
I
with
mean,
the
nothing's really positive.
No, we got to talk about Cam Ward, like how good he looked. I thought he looked good.
He did. He did.
He
It was
looked good. Like
Calvin Ridley's best game of the season
the
as
arm
well.
talent, dude. The arm talent is so good, and like
It really is special.
he he said too. He was like, "Listen, we've been." He said, "We're ass." He's like, "We're terrible. We got to get better." Like,
No,
I,
I trust his mindset, and he's got the talent to back up the mindset too. Once they get a new coach, once they get some more legitimate talent on offense,
once Clint
I don't.
Kubiak becomes their head coach,
Sure, whatever it takes. Maybe, yeah, yeah.
uh,
This next game definitely was the game of the week. I think we said it had potential to be the game of the week, and it definitely was.
definitely
The
was
Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Seattle Seahawks in an
the
utter
throwback bowl.
utter shootout. You ever see those RBSDM box scores with like the quarterback EPA and the quarterback
Yeah, it looked like a bright light.
that was peak, man. That was about as good as it gets. 26.9 total EPA from Baker Mayfield, which is insane, and 23.4 total EPA from Sam Darnold, which is also insane. I mean, as much as analytics can tell, that's how many points were individually just gotten by the quarterback play themselves. I mean, that was as good of quarterback play as you've ever seen. Obviously, Darnold threw that ridiculously brutal interception off the dude's helmet. But outside of that, those guys were definitely on one. It was definitely might have been Baker's best game of his career, in all honesty. Really shocked me coming
Yeah,
off that
Egbuka
Eagles
is
game. They were able to play that well. Yeah, Buka looks awesome. Any low ceiling Ohio State receiver could be like a bit of a lock. I just heard that on the
Carnell
Stay
Tate.
Hot
Yeah,
Theo's
yeah.
Stay Hot
Carnell Tate's like
podcast.
a lot to be a top 10 pick now because of that.
Yeah, like Theo's podcast he does. I heard the one guy's a Spawn Hour's a Ohio State fan, and he's like any low ceiling Ohio State receiver, any Ohio State receiver that we're like, it's just not that fast or not that shifty or athletic. Like he'll be fine, but he's no alpha true number one. They all turn out to be like gods themselves. Jackson Smith and Jigba. Now we're looking at
Oh yeah,
Emeka
dude. Like
Egbuka.
yeah,
Chris
yeah, man.
Olave
Like
is like a can't miss prospect, and like he struggles. But like, you know, the other obviously Marvin's looking like he's turning around, but it's like those two. Egbuka looks insane, but it's like Curtis Samuel was like this athletic freak, and like he's not good. Like it's true. It's a funny little thing there. So yeah, maybe Tate or whatever is going to be the next one. But it was awesome. Like especially if I was an Ohio State fan, I'd be like creaming myself watching that. Like the entire game towards the end was like JSN makes a huge play, and then Ibuka makes a huge play, and it'd be
Yeah,
like, oh
bro.
my god.
That game was basically like a recruitment tool for Ohio State to get 5-star
Yes,
receivers.
yes, yeah.
Like
That
this
was
could
like the
be you.
that was like a Big 12 game. That's what that felt like.
Ooh, yeah, it felt like like TCU and like Kansas State.
Yeah, that was like a this is awesome. I never want this game to end. These defenses kind of
Yeah,
suck.
so let's just like obviously
And that
like
was
the
with no
Bucks.
Bucky Irving. Like that was really
Yeah,
impressive,
so the Bucks obviously get
No Mike
another.
Evans too.
Yeah, it's like you see an HR meme where it's like the Buccaneers are like the handsome guy flirting, and then the Eagles are like the heavy set guy with the glasses, like
Yeah,
doing the
yeah,
same things.
yeah.
Like, oh my god, human resources,
Yes.
like like I don't see why like how you can't really say like Tampa Bay's like 2023 Eagles when their defense has been not good all year, Michael.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
realistically, like that interception Darnold threw. I mean, you can't blame him for that. It deflected off a guy's helmet into Levant. It was like a freak play.
I mean, I can blame it. Don't throw it off the dude's helmet. It's not like it got tipped by a hand where like, oh, that's a great play by a defender. If you remove every other player on the field and he throws that exact same ball, it's going to hit him in the helmet. Like it's still going to hit him in the helmet. You can't hit a guy in the helmet. You threw it too low. Like it's freakish, but like it wasn't like a moving target. You know what I mean? It wasn't a
Yeah, it was kind of like I don't think
no
he was.
one jumped it.
I
You
don't think it
threw it
was like
off a
he was
guy that
just
wasn't even
being.
looking.
No, it wasn't like he threw it in like quadruple coverage and got picked.
No,
It was
it was
kind
an
of like a freak
inaccurate
play,
pass. That's all
kind
it
of like a
was.
freak play.
It was
How many times have
inaccurate,
you
you
seen
know?
that picked off before? It ricochets off a defender's helmet at
Oh,
the.
the fact that it was intercepted is extremely rare, but like it doesn't make the throw any better.
No, man. All right, here we go. All right, here we go. Freaking.
And I like Darnold. Darnold, you know what I saw entering this week's games? Darnold had the least amount of turnover worthy plays in the NFL. So shout out Sam Darnold.
Okay.
And you know who led the league? Baker.
Baker. That's
I'm not
funny.
kidding. I'm interested.
Oh
And
man.
now,
All
and now,
right.
listen, Baker cooks because he only had 4 incompletions this week. So we'll see if any of those 4 were turnover worthy.
True. All right. Lions Bengals. Shout out Dave Montgomery, man. His disabled sister. Finally got to watch him play. Shout out to the Montgomery family. He had a good game.
Threw a touchdown.
So, but so obviously, like we know the Lions were gonna just drop a bunch of points on the Bengals. Obviously, we knew that was gonna happen. However, trade today, big trade happened today.
Big trade for fantasy owners, that's for sure.
The Cleveland Browns made a very rare trade with their in-state rival Cincinnati Bengals, sending elite quarterback Joe Flacco to the Cincinnati Bengals. They attached a 6th-round pick to Flacco to then get back a 5th-round pick from the Bengals, which
this is like a Bengals
I'd rather have Jameis.
Sure. I mean, this is a Bengals like desperation tactic.
How's he going to learn that's the thing because it's.
I mean, listen, I don't think he's going to struggle when in the learning the playbook process because it's going to be like, F it, Jamar or T are down there somewhere, and like it's just going to be a better ball than what Jake Browning has to offer. Like it's not going to be amazing, it's not going to be special, but it's just going to be.
This felt like a parlay
better.
move. Like, oh my god,
it's a fantasy football move. This was a fantasy football trade.
It's a betting fantasy football move where now you're going to be like, okay, now I can finally bet Jamar Chase anytime touchdown.
Yeah, and like Jamar's back for my fantasy team. No, it's absolutely, it's exactly what that is.
I bet you it was an NFL mandated move. We need Jamar Chase and T. Higgins relevant.
Yeah, we need Jamar Chase back on the markets. Yeah, this next game.
The Chargers just charging it up, bro. Because I know what you're going to say. You're going to say no Joe Walt, which played into
true.
it.
I mean, it's going to be hard, but
so what? Like Justin Herbert is the only quarterback that's allowed to have guys get hurt and like not get blamed for playing bad.
Well, no, I wasn't saying all that. I'm just saying it's a hard thing to do. You lose both your tackles, and they're also shooting themselves in the foot. I mean, you saw that sequence. It was 2nd and long. He rips a first down, penalty draws it back. Then he rips another first down and another penalty draws it back. And it was like 3rd and 40 or whatever. And it's just like the epitome of what this is what like the lens of Chargers football has kind of been. And then he makes like the brutal interception to really just tie it all together. And it's, I thought Jaden Daniels was taking way too many hits for a guy playing with a knee brace, and what was really like the game was over. Like it was a 2-possession game, and he's trying to be shifty and make guys miss. And it's like, you're not Lamar, man. Like Lamar is incredible at
Yeah, and
avoiding
it's
those
like they're
hits.
trying to throw for touchdowns, like they're trying to run the score up, and
It
it's
was like
like,
you're trying to really prove a point. It's like, dude, nah, you won. You won by a lot of points. You're fine. And watching him like sidestep these defenders and then end up getting popped, and it's like, dude, was it really worth the 4 or 5 yards you got on first down of a game that's almost already over, instead of like sliding down
yeah,
after
like they're
3 or
calling
just
pass
throwing it
plays. Is he
away?
audibling in the pass plays though?
It's
Like,
not that they're like, it's just they're calling pass plays, but you just kind of got to be in more cognizant of your health. Like you're already older for a rookie to begin with, and you're playing with your skinny as hell. You're playing with your health there. But Debo looks really good. He looks very good for them. I'll be honest. Was wrong about Debo being cooked. This next game,
yeah,
John,
pat yourself on the back for this
I'm
one.
patting myself on the back. Drake May, man, I told you be the coming out party, and boy was it.
Listen, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
he
tell you,
got some
I'm
Collinsworth giggles. He got some
God.
oh, and it was
Oh,
awesome, man. It was awesome.
it,
He
dude, dude, it felt like you know what it
felt
kind
like
of like.
Josh Allen was playing himself.
Well, no, it felt like Josh Allen's the firstborn and like Drake May's the baby, so it's like we're gonna ignore Josh Allen, and then now it's
Yeah.
like it's Drake May.
It was like, yeah. Josh Allen,
You
he did
saw
not
bad
play
Josh
great.
Allen when Josh Allen like when they it struggles where he's like I don't know like I don't say gun shy, but like he would like bail from the pocket way too early and play hero ball. It was what we complained about with Jalen in 2023 when he
Mhm.
would just like bail on clean pockets to like make plays outside, and he would make good plays at times. Like ironically, the Buffalo game was the game he did it the most, where it
Yeah.
paid
Listen,
off.
it wasn't like the worst. Um, he didn't play like horrible, but he just didn't play to his standard. And like,
Listen, everyone quarterback's going to have an off day. He had an off
yeah,
day.
and he had an off day. There's
Unfortunately,
not, and
it was prime
also
time against.
like a not great team. And what hurt them the most was also the turnovers. And like, what did they fumble 3 times? The
Well, honestly, a
Bills.
big one too was James Cook not cooking. I guess.
Listen, they got behind and they couldn't like lean on the running game, or they chose not to, and the turnovers killed them. Well, what was it, like 20 straight games or something of the Bills winning the turnover battle? Like they barely turned the ball over at all last year, and they have that weird fumble on like the motion play. Um, did someone else fumbled as a receiver? And listen, those 2 turnovers helped keep New England in the game early, and when the game was pretty much even at the end, the Patriots just made more plays.
Did you
That
think? Did
interception in the
you
red
think?
zone was really
What
bad.
do you think of Stephon Diggs turning back the clock?
He looked great, man. I never like hated Stephon Diggs.
I
He'll
think
have
he's
a
very
happy,
mature.
yeah, for sure. And you know, he is definitely mature, but he looked really good, and he showed me that maybe he's still got some juice, and it's not like total wash city, that like every now and again he can turn back the clock and show out. And honestly,
Yeah, he was
John, it
playing
kind of
with
looked
pure
like he was going to
hatred.
do that
I don't
last
understand
year.
the thing
Don't
though.
don't
That's
you
just
don't you
that's
remember?
What?
Last year, it felt like he was gonna play well, you know? Like, he was playing well at the beginning of last season, and then the injury came,
Twice.
right before the Tank Dell injury came, and then the whole receiving core kinda got blown up, but I think Stephon Diggs has a place as, like, a number 2 or number 3 receiver, and can really be contributing there if there's a true number 1 on the team. When he's the number 1, it's not amazing, but if he was with a true number 1, it could really be something. If he was with, like, if, like, he was in Dallas instead of Pickens, I don't think it would be, like, super different for the Cowboys offense, which is playing well.
I would agree with that. I do think though for New England, I don't know if you saw this tweet. They were like Patriots depth chart with Antonio Gibson injured. It was like Ramondre number 1, then James White, Shane Vereen, then
Yeah,
Travion
yeah,
Henderson.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
he's really
this is
getting
the biggest Patriots
that's the
win.
malpractice for me
Yeah, like
with New
this is
England.
where like I think like I don't know, like I asked somebody this question at work. Actually asked a friend of the show, Miles McAleer, this question, and I'm going to ask
Mhm.
you this question. In the next 5 years, who who is more likely to win a Super Bowl? This quarterback coach combo. Sean McDermott and Josh Allen, or Drake May and Mike Vrabel?
I mean, 5 years,
In the next 5 years, who's more
I
likely?
probably gotta still stick with the Buffalo duo because they
But
listen, I get the point. It's not like it's impossible for in 3 years New England to be in a Super Bowl, maybe 2 years for them to be in a Super Bowl if they have a couple other big spending good off seasons like they had this year. And obviously the Bills just wouldn't be able to get it done. But I mean, I think as it stands, the Bills probably have the best shot to win said Super Bowl in the NFL as it stands based on the easier schedule and, you know, Josh Allen's still really good and obviously the Chiefs are having a down year, the Ravens are bad and,
yeah, that's
you
a
know,
very good transition, I think, to the next game, which was Monday
yeah.
night's game. Jaguars Chiefs. Michael, I am very surprised by the results of this. I know some people are like, oh, the Jags, like, like Liam Cohen, come on, man. Did you really think the Jags were going to win this game? This was like
I mean, I
this,
didn't see most of
this,
this,
this, and like
obviously.
the comeback win against the Chargers these are like the two biggest Jag wins in the last like 10 years.
Not their playoff wins, man.
I was gonna say since like 2017
No, so probably
AFC,
since they
they beat the
since
Steelers. This is like
yes,
I have
yes.
seen. It's crazy. I'm not a Jaguars fan, but I've seen like their three biggest wins in the last 10 years.
Yeah, no, it's really something
Think about
crazy.
that.
I mean, you look at this game further cemented some of the stuff I felt about the Jags. I've been a believer in the Jags defense and Devin Lloyd in particular, and he goes and makes another crazy play. Everyone was like, "This is literally my Madden bag of faking the A gap blitz into a drop zone and jumping a route." It was pretty cool. Had a great return. Um, all what's a shame is that I defend Trevor Lawrence a lot. This game for me, it almost like cemented like, okay, you win with Lawrence? Sure. Is it super likely? Not right now. Like you just need he needs if he's gonna win, he needs a lot, I think, more talent around him.
You're
Because like
obsessed
I
with
look
the
at that
style points. No, I'm just kidding. I
and now
agree.
listen, like I look
I
at
agree.
the way that last drive went and
That was the worst game-winning touchdown I've ever seen.
right, like we're gonna get to the Chiefs because I'm gonna tie this in with the Chiefs point that I want to make. But like that was like the worst game-winning drive I think I've ever seen. Like he starts it off with scrambling and rolling, but he actually turns into a positive run, and it's like he's still got over a minute 20 and the clock's ticking, so it's really not that bad. Obviously, the kick was out of bounds from Butker, so that really set him up a good field position. But then the second down play, it's like, okay, he's dropping back, he's looking, nothing's there. And here comes the same exact thing for Lawrence, but to the other side now. And now he's scrambling left. What's he going to do? He might just run, or he's going to, and then he tries to do the same thing, except when he juked rolling to his right, he was even with the line of scrimmage, maybe a yard in front of it. This time on the left side, he was trying to do the same thing 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage. So the result of him like making a guy miss and falling forward when he rolled to his right was a 4 yard gain, 6 or 5 yard gain. It really wasn't that bad. It was actually kind of a nice thing. But when he did it the other way behind the line of scrimmage, the result was like a 2 yard sack. And it's like now the clock's ticking and you got to burn a timeout or whatever. That was the dumbest thing ever. And then he launches the one deep to Brian Thomas Jr., which throw was probably about in the only place it could have been, but it was still like double covered, really ill advised. And Brian Thomas juggles it and catches it miraculously. It was great. That really sets him up with a chance to score. He hits a nice out route, and I was like, that was a really nice throw. So that's after one really horrible play. That was two nice plays. And then what does he do? He takes a delay of game. And it's like, Trevor, what are you doing? How are you taking a delay of game in that spot? So they take a delay of game, and that's just like awful.
Maybe
What are you
Liam Cohen
thinking?
should have Trevor Lawrence line up as a D end on the scout team to
Yeah, to get him out of it. And then
like they like Baker had to with Car- No, I'm kidding. No, I
no,
agree
yeah,
with
and
you.
after,
I
he gets
think
the
this was more of an
interception.
embarrassing. I agree. I feel like this was more of an. If you're a Chiefs fan, I feel like in this game, everything you feared about your team sort of came true. Like
Yeah, this was definitely like
because the Chiefs fans I've noticed are doing a 180 from when they lost to the Eagles, where they were like, "Oh, we got screwed. Oh, like Chris Jones is right. It's all about like all the stats, whatever. Like basically like they're it's kind of like the Rams fans crying about the Eagles, then they lose to the Niners and do a 180 on them bitching about the Eagles, you know."
yeah,
Where
no,
now it's like
this was
we're now like Chris Jones had to deactivate his Twitter account because so many Chiefs fans were just adding him and DMing him, like giving
for
him
some
crap for that game winning play where he quit. He looks like he quit. I think he thought he was down, but he basically quit on the. He didn't play to the whistle.
no, he thought he was down. Well, no, he saw him go down and was like, someone else will get him. Surely someone else will get him. Like that's what it was. And then he starts running and he's like, well, now it's a little too far. Someone else will get him. And it was embarrassing. This to me was the way where, listen, maybe it's a little too early to call this because I do still think the Chiefs have a path to being good, especially I
I
keep saying it,
agree.
but
No, no,
especially when
no.
Rice
I
gets
agree.
back. So,
No, there's a
but
path for
I
them to win the division.
yeah, but what I will say is that while I do think the Chiefs can be a productive team due to their like improving offensive roster and all that, like normal football things. My point is like being good for a normal reason. What is seems like is turning is the idea of them being this like ghoulish good team that always wins no matter what, devil magic garbage. Because if that was the Chiefs of old, as soon as Kareem Hunt strut into that end zone, you could have turned the TV off, gone to bed, because why waste your time watching the Chiefs finish this game out? Because it's over. It is totally over. Even though there was, plenty of time for the Jags to drive down. But then what happens? Harrison Butker, who for a long time was really good, started to suck uh,
Last
not
year,
so last year. He got regardless and is off to a bad start this year again. And bad, not even just field goals, kickoffs, kicking it off out of bounds. Inexcusable. That's horrible. And then what happens? BS catch down the sideline to Brian Thomas that feels like garbage. You intercept the ball, the game's over, but there's a flag on the play. John, what have we seen for the last 7 years? How many times has Mahomes, whether it's thrown the pick or take the sack or throw the incompletion, and it's like, oh, there go the Chiefs, down they go. And then what pops up on the scoreboard? Flag. And you're like, God. And you look and like, you know what? It is a penalty, sure, but man, it just feels like these penalties always go their way in the biggest spot. What happens to the Chiefs here? They get the interception, flag down on the play. You look at it and you're like, yeah, that's a penalty. That just sucks to have in that exact moment. And then the bizarro finish of Lawrence getting stepped on and falling, trying to get up, flopping around like a fish on the ground, getting up like a baby deer, and somehow finding his way to dive in the end zone, and that's how they lose. Tell me you couldn't see Patrick Mahomes doing that at least once in the last 8 years or however long it's been. You know, it was they lost in the most like to themselves Chiefs way possible. They lost in like the way they've been
Yeah, I
beating
would say
teams.
my observation is like watching like these Chiefs games now that they don't have like a top 5 roster anymore, Michael. It's like a
Mhm.
top 12 roster. It makes me feel like I'm watching the Eagles post 2004 with Andy Reid with some of these losses because like I'm not trying to say Andy Reid's the reason they lost this game,
No.
but like the Jags were just flopping around, not like they were like floundering on that final drive. Like clearly, like it was like they were affected by the aura, like the moment, and the Chiefs. It was like they were clearly like it was like Chief aura was still
Dude, it
there.
was like yeah, it was
They were
like a
psyched out.
sci-fi movie.
They were psyched out, but the Chiefs didn't. It was like the Chiefs did nothing.
Yeah, it was like a movie where like it would be like this red fog around Trevor Lawrence's head, and it's like the Chiefs' evil spirits are working against you, and he's taking these dumb sacks, tripping over his own feet, throwing interceptions, and the Chiefs just weren't doing themselves any favors.
Yeah, agree.
They didn't make the big play, and it's just rare to see. It's rare to see the Chiefs not make the one big play at the end of a close game. We just haven't seen it in a long time. But shout out the Jags, man. They're in a good spot competing for that division. They're going to be banking on a crumble there from Danny Dimes.
Yeah, I can't wait for that Colts Jags battle for the AFC South supremacy.
That could be a legitimate, playoff matchup, 3-6 or something by the time playoffs roll around. Um, let's pick
Let's do,
Thursday. Why don't we do
let's pick
that?
Thursday and wrap up the show.
My
So,
biggest fear is just short week on the turf, the
oh,
death turf.
you don't want to announce it like we do the other picks?
Oh. I mean,
Yeah,
the Eagles are playing the Giants this
The
week.
Eagles travel to North Jersey to play their
Sorry.
this Michael. Do you know this is like the oldest rivalry? Older than this is the oldest rivalry in Philadelphia sports.
Phillies don't have anything.
What the Marlins, Nationals, Braves, and
I mean, the Mets are like a newish team.
right. Then the Phillies. I mean, the Braves were the Boston Braves.
No, I
Wasn't
hear you. I hear you.
this is
Okay, fair enough.
these teams have been rivals since 1933, my friend. One of the oldest. This is the oldest rivalry in
Yeah,
Philadelphia.
I guess the Sixers, Celtics. Mm, that was later, anyways. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
no, perhaps it is. That's fair.
Yes, this is the oldest
All
rivalry in
right, a
Philadelphia
historic
sports.
rivalry we
Eagles,
have here: the Philadelphia Eagles and the New York
Giants.
Giants. The Eagles are 7-point favorites on the road against the Giants on the death turf on a short week. All of that sounds miserable. Um, but we may get our wish of like not the way we want or whatever, but like Landon Dickerson's going to be sitting for it looks like at least a couple weeks, which is good. It's extremely important, I think, for him to sit. I still think he should sit through the
I
bye.
thought Brett
Um,
Toth didn't do a bad job filling in
John,
for
it
him.
felt like the offensive line stabilized when he went out of the game. I can't lie. It felt like the offensive line, it felt similar to when Lane Johnson got hurt, and initially they put in Matt Pryor, and it was like, oh my god, and then they put in Fred Johnson, and all of a sudden the offensive line like stabilized, and they were able to make plays. It kind of felt that way. It kind of felt like Dickerson's done, and you have a guard, no matter how worse he is in talent level, that is just physically able to move without a lot of pain, and it was just palpable. Um, so shout out, that was nice, and uh, you know, we'll see.
Well,
Saquon was
look,
dealing
for
with a
the
knee
Giants, I mean,
injury.
the Giants are coming off an embarrassing loss.
Yeah,
Obviously, this is Jackson Dart's first Eagle game. This is like like Jalen's first Cowboy game, I suppose, or you know Carson's first Cowboy game or Giant game too, as well. So a lot of people feel like I don't know. People are not feeling optimistic about this because of the factors. I do feel like for the Eagles, this is a get right game. Like we need to like how like remember after the Brown game, the offense still looked bad, and we basically only won that game because the
the
creep.
Rams secondary is bad.
No,
Oh,
no,
oh, the
oh no,
Browns
I'm
game.
talking about last year. This is
I thought
kind of
you
around
meant the
the same
AJ
time.
Brown game.
Yeah, like we only beat the Browns because the creep was like the worst quarterback in football,
Right, right.
right?
Hmm.
And then they had to play the Giants and to get right against the Giants. I do think, though, look, the Giants have a really good pass rush. And we saw what happened with the Eagles handling. The Broncos have the best pass rush in the NFL. Jalen got sacked a bunch of times. Granted, some of them were like Fugazi sacks where he got forced out of bounds a yard or two short of
Hmm.
the first down marker. It wasn't like the Ram game where they were literally just lighting them up, when
Yeah.
Matt Pryor was in there. I will say this. It's embarrassing if they have a similar offensive performance to Sunday on Thursday. It would be embarrassing. It would be like literally like that's what it's gonna be like DEFCON 5. Something's wrong. Like clearly Kevin Patullo is in way over his head. And like Sirianni, like either they're going to change play call. They're not going to fire him. He's not getting fired. He'll get relieved of.
Patullo will get fired at the bye if it's this bad for 4 more games. If it's this bad,
Not you make Scott Loeffler the play caller, the
I don't know
quarterback's
what you
coach.
do. I don't know what you do, but if it's this bad, I think something's gonna have to change. Maybe they don't fire him, but maybe they do transfer some play calling duties or something. I hope not to Nick, but um, I don't know. I just feel like if this goes on for 4 more games, you can't just continue the same normal way. Yeah, I'd like to think. Listen, we talked about last week. It felt like they realized that things were bad after the Tampa game and that things needed to get fixed. And now it feels like they're actually going to take the strides to fix it because other problems became fruitful. Where you need to be able to run the football. We talk about it how they struggle so much running the football, and how a lot of it's on the offensive line, a lot of it's on the play calling, and a lot of it, you're not letting Jalen run and all that sort of stuff. But you're like you refused to run the ball in the second half against the Broncos,
You're trying
and
to
your
run clock.
inability, yeah, and your inability to be able to run the ball and threaten that way, it just allowed them to sit back in zone and not even worry about any sort of run, not bite on any sort of play action or anything. And they cooked you on defense. You couldn't get anything going. You could not do a damn thing. So um, I do think, even on a short week, their general plan would be to run the ball more, especially on a short week in MetLife. They're going to want to run the ball more and just kill clock and get out of there with a win, no matter how ugly it
I
looks.
did notice though with Kansas City the last couple weeks. I'm not trying to change the subject fully. The play calling to start the year for Kansas City was god awful, it has gotten better for them the last couple weeks. I'm wondering. I mean, at some point though, I'm gonna ask you this: like Jalen Hurts has been. This is his 6th year in the NFL. At what point do you think the Eagles may literally just say to Jalen Hurts, like, "Hey, look, call it at the line," or
I mean,
it's
I don't know if
trending that it's almost trending that way.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they'll actually ever say it or if um he's just gonna start doing it. Maybe he'll just start doing it in big spots. I don't know, but hopefully it doesn't ever get to that point. But we're definitely headed down that way. I do think they're gonna make a cognizant effort to run the ball. Giants do have a good defense, so we'll see how effective it is. But
I think the
yeah,
big thing for the Eagles is
I mean, the best thing they got going for them is their defense matchup against this Giants offense and Jackson Dart. I mean, they have every reason to kind of kill them defensively. Like, even though the Giants can effectively run it a little bit when things are going well, I still I don't worry about them at all throwing the football. So you should be able to kind of play with some heavier boxes, play with some heavier, your base defense with more men up front. You should probably be able to trust Cooper DeJean on the outside against these weak Giants receivers. And with that, make Jackson Dart uncomfortable, not give him anything to throw to. Like he's gonna what is he's gonna push it. Like he's not gonna be passive and like not try to throw the ball
I
downfield,
feel
you know?
honestly, so my gut feeling with this game is this I feel like this is going to be the fire Dable like game. And by
Okay.
that I mean I think the Eagles are going to obliterate them. I
Yeah, yeah.
like that like and you've heard me talk about I'm not like a big homer. I said about the Bronco game. I wasn't optimistic about the Eagles in the Bronco game.
Mhm.
Um I wasn't optimistic about the Eagles in the Ram game. I was actually kind of optimistic for them in the Buccaneer game. I think this is the Eagles quote unquote breakout. I think you'll see a big defense, like big game defensively. You know, it's a bad sign when the players and fans think the game should be called a different way than the offensive coordinator.
Of
And
course.
and it's going to get to a point, and when we know about Howie, we know Howie Roseman is not someone that just sits on his hands and does nothing,
Right.
right? You saw it last year. You saw it in 2023. He's the one that fired Sean Desai and was like, "Okay, Patricia, get in there. We need somebody different." Whether it was a good decision or not, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
The Eagles have a very high standard where it's basically is don't be an absolute blithering idiot and you'll be fine.
Sure.
You know, I
They seem to
saw
keep hiring blithering idiots though, John,
well,
and
because
that's worrisome.
they're very
But
good at doing what they're very good at being doing what they're told, I suppose. Like Kevin Patullo's got to call a good game for 4 quarters. Like the last 2 games, they've called. You could say the first half against the Bucks, and to some extent with
I mean,
certain play.
the same shit just happened. Like it was you saw a lot of man coverage in the first half. You saw some blitzes and like Jalen shred it. The receivers cook it because they're so much more talented. And then you watch in the second half and the teams are zoning it up and the receivers can't rely on their talent to get open against zone because the schemes are so garbage. And Jalen holds the ball too long and he takes sacks. Like that's happened 2 straight games now. You'd think defenses would just stop running man, so they have to avoid the first part, but, we'll see. The Giants run a lot of man coverage. If the Giants come out with their usual game plan, the Eagles are gonna cook it. But if the Giants switch things up and run a lot of
Completely
zone,
deviate from what
they're
they've
gonna
done the
struggle.
last 5 years, like
They should. They'd be smart.
on a
I'm
short
sure
week.
as hell that the Eagles wouldn't be ready for it.
I think you kind of have to trust Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, I do. I trust the football team. the most.
God,
I,
my God, man, this is like the worst show. Like in terms of
yeah,
just
no, this sucks,
like
man. I am.
this sucks, bro. I have more fun talking about other teams than our teams.
Yeah, I was legitimately giddy talking about Drake May and the Chiefs Jags game. That was awesome. Yeah, man, this sucks. This is not fun.
No,
At the moment, it's not a good time.
sad, bro. Sad,
Yep,
man. So
yep.
obviously we're gonna do
Oh,
our
we're both
weekend.
picking the Eagles -7 though.
Yeah, I'm taking the Eagles -7. Do you ever feel though with Vegas when the Eagles when like the spread comes out
This is
that
such a troll line.
it is a troll line. It's I feel like they're trying to sucker people into taking the Giants, and
Like,
then
because
because
obviously the
this is
Eagles.
what's going to happen, Michael. I'm going to explain to you what's going to happen. People are going to get sucked in with the Giants +7. They get their asses handed to them, and they're not. And then the betters are going to be like, oh, F Jalen Hurts, F AJ Brown. Blah. It's like, no, you idiot. Like you're an absolute dumbass for
Yeah.
putting American currency on Jackson Dart
No,
and
they
Brian
listen,
Dable.
they know what it is. They know, yeah, of course the Eagles are 7 points better than the Giants. They're more on a neutral. They're in New York. And the issue is simply they're not playing well. And I think a lot of people know they're not playing well. So you look at it and you're like, well, yeah, the Eagles are that much better, but they're not playing well. But the Giants also suck and aren't playing well either. So it really gets you tight and you close your eyes and you're like, you know what? I'll take the home team on a short week in a divisional matchup and I'll call it a day. And that's what people are doing. And we'll see if the Eagles actually flex the guns that they have, that they are that good, because they are. And they should be playing better. But, anyways, our next show is going to be potentially worse than this. So there's that.
Why you gotta say it
Um,
like that, man? We're gonna be like, okay, guy, okay, welcome to the Puck Podcast. We're only gonna talk about the Flyers. So how did you like that Zegras assist he had to Michkov?
yeah, dude.
Okay, we're gonna wrap up
Shout
the
out.
show on this last note. The so you and I are both in group chats. We have our own group chats. How bad was your group chat talking about that game last night? I know you were there.
I was I can't text in those group chats because I get too mad, um, because,
That people
sometimes
say
it's not the
dumb
most,
crap.
like, yeah, it's like some dumb stuff where it's like, I I we could be saying the same thing, but I know you mean it a lot more than I do, where I'm just frustrated, but, like, you really mean it, and, like, it's ways of like, "Oh, you get rid of everybody," and, like, that's just, like,
Or you saying
not
I'm over the
realistic.
top, or
No, because you're like, I know that you know what's actually logical, and it's just it was a lot of. I said it to you
I was
pre-show. It's
yeah.
every negative feeling that a human can feel. It's anger, it's sadness, it's devastation, it's disappointment, it's embarrassment, it's physical pain, like physical harm to my like chest and head because I'm thinking about it so much and it's driving me insane. There's like regret. It's awful. Everything
You're
about
going
it
through
is
like the Kubler-Ross
terrible.
5 stages of grief. You're
Yeah,
bargaining. You're now
it's
bargaining. You're like,
I'm trying to rationalize how awful it
if I
is.
just watch the Flyers Thursday, if we just beat this defending, like they don't have Barkov or Kachuk, like we could beat them, and then like you just see like Michkov and Zegers ping the puck to each other. Like I can forget about this, but you're not going to forget about this, Michael.
But listen, we'll know tomorrow night if the series is over. We'll know by Thursday night if they're playing a game on Saturday. And at this point, you just have to hope. You can't be rooting for it to end. You have to believe and hope. And you just got to get to the next game. Get to the next game. Get to the next day. That's all you need to do. And we'll see. We'll see if they have one more day in them.
Wow. That's it's like you're giving
It's
a
depressing.
it's like you're giving a eulogy. It's like, wow.
Well,
I mean, it might be.
am I? I might be.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna go the other way here. I'm gonna try to go the other
No,
way.
with what? What?
What if they win? What if they win
That's what I'm
tomorrow?
saying.
What if they win tomorrow? Like,
I'm
what if they
telling
win
you, it's
tomorrow?
I know. What if, man? It would be awesome. I'd feel
I thought,
confident.
Michael, I thought they were gonna win last night. I genuinely thought. I'm like, oh, the Dodger bullpen is bad.
John, we're talking about it. We said we weren't going to talk about
I know, but like,
it.
come on, man. It's like you experience something traumatic, and you're like, I don't
I just
know.
have to pretend it doesn't exist for one until tomorrow.
Okay, all right, we're gonna pretend it doesn't exist till tomorrow. All right, everybody, thank you for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
We'll see you this weekend.
We'll see you this week.
We are part of the Fired Up Sports Network of shows. Please check out other Fired Up Sports Network podcasts like the P-Lot Water Cooler Talk, Bell Smashers, Philly Sports Love and Pain, Drunk on Broad, Beer Battered Sports, and the Fired Up Sports Show, which are available on all major podcasting hosting sites and social media. Also, check out Mark Ramos' Roundup on firedupsports.com, which breaks down the happenings going on with all your favorite local teams.